welcome to This Is Life. So I got my friend Matt Quick in here again. We're going to go ahead and continue where we left off last week. You know, we kind of made an announcement. We were going to make an announcement, talking about how we are great friends, but we disagree a lot. But we didn't disagree the entire podcast. So we're going to just bring up some topics tonight that him and I maybe have different viewpoints on, and you can kind of see and hear firsthand about how you can have a civil conversation with somebody about opposing views and still come out of it best friends. And, and just in having a mutual respect and mutual honor for one another. And I think that's just one of the most important things that we can gain in this life. It's almost like it's a trait that we really need to hone in. And that's really how we're going to be the salt of the earth as believers and preserve it and truly make the best example. Now, as just a reminder, I do tend to lean more towards the right, the conservative side, and Matt leans to the left pretty much, all over to the liberal side. But
send me some of your hate tweets.
Yeah. There you go. And I think, and I also, most people think of white evangelicals specifically, but I think it's just evangelicals as a whole, regardless of race, generally tend to be more on the conservative side. I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. I think that the Christian church in America holds too tight to the right, to the conservative, and they don't have an ear for an opposing view. That's not going to be like that on the show. I feel that we have a responsibility, no matter where our political positions lie, to allow yourself to hear and even learn from and even change your mind. Folks, it's okay to change your mind. Even if you've held on to a particular belief for years and years, maybe it's something that was instilled to you by your own folks, that are, maybe your friends growing up or something you gained in school or something you just held on to for whatever reason. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your heart. In the last 5-6 years, I've definitely changed my heart. In the last couple of years, I even voted for a Democrat, right? So, that would have never happened before. But, I, however, have understood that I desire to make a change in my life into whatever God gives me in front of me. I want to make sure that I live the best example of a life as possible. And I think the only way we can do that is by having communication and discussions and even maybe agreements or even agree to disagree with people of the opposite view. So with none more of an introduction of that, hello, let's welcome Matt Quick.
Hey, buddy.
Well, hello.
How's it going?
I do so good, man. Thanks for coming back. So I feel that, I don't necessarily want to just dive right into the heavy duty, crazy topics like the death penalty or abortion.
Why you're a Saints fan.
Yeah. We can talk about why I'm a Saints fan.
And why that no call doesn't matter.
It definitely matters.
Here we go.
Yeah, believe me. We go on sports radio, I guess, if we really want to go far on this one. But yeah, that definitely, there was no call.
I agree that it should have been called.
Yes.
But I disagree with the notion that it cost them the game.
No, that's like 15 seconds in the game. The game was over. Nope. If that would have not called a pass interference, they would have definitely been right there on the line. It's Drew Brees. It's not some no-name quarterback out there. It was the guy who was up for the MVP for like the last 5 years. He's breaking records more than Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, your boy Tom Brady. He's up there in that line of thinking. Would you say the same thing if it would have been Tom Brady and the Patriots?
Yes. I said the same thing. I was at that AFC title game.
Right.
I was at that game. Wes Welker didn't touch the ball, so we'll get that out of the way right now. One view showed that it appeared to touch his thumb. This is when the ball hits the turf, and they ruled that they didn't touch it. But then I think the ruling on the field was that he muffed the punt, and it was recovered by the Chiefs, what have you.
Right.
One angle clearly showed that it looked like his thumb touched the ball, but that his index finger didn't. And the other angle showed that his index finger might have touched the ball, but that his thumb definitely didn't. And so when you put the two angles together, you're like, oh, well, he didn't touch the ball at all. It just looked that way.
I got you.
Well, let me tell you about the Saints thing. Let me set you straight on
All
this.
right, fine. Go ahead. I will. I've been talking all this time about learning from others. So educate me.
So you recall do you recall the drive, the whole drive?
Yes.
Not play by play, but the whole drive.
Yeah, I remember, and I also remember crying afterwards. But go on.
Pretty sure you do. So the Saints get down in the red zone.
Yep.
Okay, they have first down,
which is generally a shoe-in touchdown.
It's a shoe-in touchdown
for the record.
They get down into the
which is why I think again. Okay, I'll leave.
They get into the red zone. Okay, they're in the red zone. They throw the ball incomplete. They run the ball Okay, time ticks away.
Right.
Sure. They throw the ball.
Right.
That's the no call. And then they throw the ball again.
Right. They should have run the ball. I agree.
You run the ball.
I agree with that.
If you run the ball, one, the likelihood of a fumble is minimal. It does happen, but usually, you're telling that guy in the huddle, hold that ball. Don't let go of that ball. Right. Or what you do, they're going to hit that ball. Whatever you do, you better hold on to that football.
Right.
And, stuff happens, but the guys kind of know that that's coming, right?
Right. Okay.
And they're professional athletes. Their job is to hold the ball. So they get paid millions of dollars to do that. You run the ball, then the clock runs down 40 more seconds. You run the ball again, the clock runs down 40 more seconds. If you still need to throw the ball at that point, fine. But you don't need to, because how many seconds were left on the clock after the no call? 15. Had you run the ball, let it run down 40 seconds, you can kick a field goal and win the game. There's no time left. You don't even need the touchdown. I get why you want to go for the touchdown. It's a shoe-in. They're in the red zone. The no call, it should have been a call.
Right.
I fully agree with that. But
they should have replayed the game is what they should have done.
That's where we disagree, too.
Yes, they definitely should have replayed the game. Or at least started it from that point. Like, the refs were like, we messed up.
Did you feel better that the Patriots beat the Rams in the end?
Anytime the Rams get beat, I feel better.
Okay, well, full disclosure, I'm a Patriots fan, so that's not a big deal. So, Patriots Saints would have been fun for you and me. It was a snoozer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe we would have had a shaved hairband or something.
Were you a Saints fan, or you're a Saints fan? But were you rooting for the Rams from an NFC perspective, or was it still so fresh that you were like, I hope New England trounces them? Because I also know that you hate New England winning all the time too.
To be full disclosure, I didn't even watch the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, I just couldn't do it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it.
Oh, I didn't.
I think I just watched a movie with the family or something.
Okay, fair enough.
Couldn't, and I fast forwarded, and I didn't. And I because I heard the Maroon 5 halftime show was terrible, so I love seeing a car wreck, so I went and did that.
You love seeing a car wreck.
It's true. Everybody does, right? So I was like, yep, it was just as awful as I thought.
Right.
So yeah. But anyway, okay. Well, that was your sports segment for those of you who are interested in sports. But that's an example.
All the kind of stuff.
But anyway, like I said, I don't want to just go into something deep and heavy, like I said, like the death penalty or abortion. Maybe we can talk about one of those some other time. Maybe we can have another guest in here and kind of really make it an awesome, interesting show. However, something that we all agree on, that we all would desire to have better of and more accessibility to. That would be the H word, healthcare, right? I think that's an interesting topic that's going to affect all of us. That may not affect some of the younger listeners. If you're in your 20s and you're healthy, you're doing really well. But I turned 40 in like 3 hours. Right, 3 hours from now, I will be 40 years old, and so I'm not getting any younger. And so eventually, I'm going to need to make sure that I have good healthcare, and to what degree I can also be here for long enough to take care of my family. I think that. We have to ask ourselves, okay, so what generally the disagreement comes where the liberal left side, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, believes that healthcare in and of itself is a right. And from the conservative viewpoint, access to healthcare is a right. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
That's fair. I think we all can agree, and we live in America, so if you're listening from somewhere not in America, this might not make a whole lot of sense to you, or you might just go, these Americans are weird. But we agree that healthcare is important. We agree that everybody needs healthcare, should have healthcare. It's a methodology of how do you get it, right? That's where you and I at least fundamentally disagree. So from my perspective, on the side that I tend to be on, I view healthcare as a right. Now, I don't want to say Medicaid for all or any of that kind of stuff, because I'm going to get a bunch of hate tweets. But I fundamentally, so the problem for me with access to healthcare is, what does that even mean? So you have access to it, but you can't afford it. Like, oh yeah, it's there, you can go buy it, but you can't afford it. So it's like, well, then do I really have access to it?
But I think, okay.
So from my perspective, I view it as a right, as in the Declaration of Independence gives us the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Health would go under the life category in my book. So from that perspective, it's, I don't know how you pay for it. I don't know if you do the Bernie route and you tax billionaires and pay for it that way, or it's a money thing about how to pay for it. But I think fundamentally, it should be given to everyone from a governmental standpoint. I don't know if it's Medicaid for all.
Okay,
I don't know if it's a partnership with the market. I don't know if.
But when you say given, though, aren't you really meaning the doctors are going to be forced to provide a service regardless of, basically what you're saying is I have a right to a healthcare, which means, doctor, you have to give me free healthcare because I have you are bound by law to give me your service.
I don't think it's that. I mean, I can see how that argument is like, oh, well, that's what you mean. I get that, but for me, it's more about, I view it as almost like car insurance, right? You pay your car insurance. I pay my car insurance. We hopefully don't have any accidents.
Have you ever seen the difference between a car insurance bill and a health insurance bill?
Well, that's the problem with the whole system.
Okay.
You can go to Canada and get something done way cheaper. In England, they have, England's got a different healthcare system altogether.
Yeah, but they also have super long waiting lines, and a lot of people from those countries actually end up coming to America to get better healthcare here. Sure.
I mean, I don't know what way is the right way. I'm not saying that I have all the answers, but I fundamentally, why wouldn't it be like, Obamacare has its flaws. The Affordable Care Act, it's been coined Obamacare. It has its flaws, sure. But I think that the idea behind it is sound. We're all going to pay in, and those that need it to use it. And we'll do that on a government perspective, and we'll just put it right into your taxes, and you'll never even know about it, right? You and I pay taxes for roads in our town.
Right.
You don't know how much you're paying for it. You just, when you go buy your groceries, there's a sales tax, and part of that goes to that.
I mean, but
part of it is you got to get the healthcare costs down.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's one thing we're agreeing again.
Okay, that's fine.
We're agreeing
but I think that we disagree on how to get the healthcare costs down. Like, for example, I believe that there should not be any state boundaries for insurance. For example, like we live in Kansas, right? I can't go to Missouri or Nebraska or Iowa or even Florida, someplace far away, and look at the insurance companies there for me here. Like, and I think that's wrong. I think you also have only like a small window that you can even get insurance. And
the sign up window and the enrollment period.
And you also only have like maybe one or two choices at all to even get health care. And to get health insurance, at least here in the state in Kansas, and I think that's absolutely wrong. I think that there needs to be a way for there to be commercial competition between insurance companies to drive costs down. Do you agree on that?
That makes sense. I mean, I think it also is like, so we have a 7-month-old baby at home. You know this, and you guys have a 5-year-old, so you know this too. We use that hospital costs and all that. It's weird that when you go to get your oil changed, you know how much your oil change is going to be.
Right.
I mean, sales tax, sure. But I mean, you generally know it's $4.95 or whatever, right? Because it's on the board. When you go buy your groceries, you know how much each item costs. There's a price right there. When you go to the hospital to have a baby, nothing.
You don't know. You have no clue. And also, you're going to get you think you're done getting one bill or two bills. Like, all right, that's good. And all of a sudden,
and then you get
more doctors send you their bills.
This is the one time, and you can write it down. I agree with the Trump administration, although I think even today, I might be off base on this. I think they just pulled this back, but they were going to make it, at least for prescription drugs, they were going to allow and force the cost of the drug to be displayed in adverts,
right,
for the drug, for whatever it was. That's a great idea because now I know what it costs. I can compare that cost. I mean, it's unreasonable for anybody to agree to have a procedure or to need a procedure, depending on the situation, to not know what it costs. That's odd to me. If I were to say, hey, Sean, you want me to go order some pizza? And you're like, yeah, sure. And I go, cool. And then I go buy the pizza and the pizza guy goes, well, we'll tell you after we deliver the pizza how much it costs. You would never order from that pizza place.
Okay, so why? Let me ask you this.
But that creates more competition, right? If I know that we're having a baby, I know that I'm going to need to have delivery services for a baby. I'm not asking for the actual. Every case is different, but give me a ballpark of how much that's going to cost, so that I can go, okay, this hospital is going to charge X, this hospital is going to charge Y. Now you've got competition in the market, and you're not even having a healthcare conversation.
Okay, but here's the cost problem: is that's where we agree, but you started off this conversation with saying that you are under the belief or desire for there to be a universal health care where the government is in charge of everybody having health care.
Works for Canada, works for Sweden, works for Australia, works for the
works
UK.
In quotations, for personally speaking, because I don't think that, again, you have excessive lines. You have them coming to America for better care. You have doctors quitting like crazy. So I don't necessarily know that it's better. Maybe different. But my point is this, though, is there's a difference between what we were just talking about regulating prescription costs and having competition between insurance carriers and doctors having to reveal the cost of services. That's one thing. But it's completely different when you're saying, you know what, government, you do everything else so well and so efficient, we're going to give you our health care. and because we trust you to be able to take care of all of that for us, all of those expenses. Prices will never go up. You will never use it for any of your own purposes. There will never be a healthcare lobby that will fight for its own interests instead of the people's. That will never happen.
Lobbying's its own thing. We can set lobbying aside for a while. That's an entire episode on
right?
you and I and lobbying. That's its own thing.
But do you see what I'm saying?
I definitely know what you're saying.
I mean, we just recently had to get passports done, right? It took them like 3 weeks longer than they told us it would. And I'm just thinking, man, if they can't even do something simple as a passport, that even it was a renewal, my wife sent in her old passport, and all they had to do was to verify the information and make a new one. They can't even do that on time. How can we expect them to, for millions of Americans, be efficient in helping our healthcare? I mean, have you ever tried to call the IRS or call a government agency, even a state agency, and get through to talk to somebody?
It's a pain.
I mean, you work for the state. You see the runaround that even state agencies have to go through.
Sure, I get all that. But remember, we are doing all of that because none of us want to pay taxes, right? Every president, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, doesn't matter. The first thing they always say is, we're going to cut your taxes. But for me, and we're switching gears a little bit, but for me, and this is going to sound really weird, I think you might agree with me on this, oddly enough, I think that paying taxes is patriotic.
Yep.
Like, taxes pay for my roads, taxes keep me safe from North Korea, taxes, allow this country to provide things for its citizens, even if it's not me, as a whole, that makes us better. And so I get that. So you pay taxes and the government spends that kind of stuff, but you're never going to get everybody. Like, the way to fix that is, given that I work at a state agency, I see how antiquated the system is in terms of the software, in terms of the hardware, in terms of the personnel. Like, I'm doing the job of two people because we can't afford to hire another person because we don't have the money, because we get money as government. We get money from taxes. This is how it is. And everybody comes in and tax cuts. We're going to cut your taxes here. Or we're going to do this. The state of Kansas, where we live, pulled money out of the state employees' retirement fund to slash more taxes and to balance a budget. They've now since rectified that and put it back with the new administration, I think. But that's a problem. But if you get more competition in the market on the healthcare side, and you get hospitals having to advertise their prices. I'm not saying the whole thing, but hey, ballpark, it's going to run you this, right? Like a mechanic. A mechanic says, hey, look, it's going to run you about this. And then if something comes up, you deal with it as you get to it, and that's just how it is. But if you have that, now you've got competition. Competition within the hospitals, within the doctor's offices, within the prescription drug companies drives the price down. Now insurance companies have to pay less to cover those costs because they're already being reduced.
Right.
Now, Medicaid, Medicare, that suddenly stretches further. The dollar stretches further because now we're paying less cost, which means your premiums go down because the cost itself is lower because all the hospitals are trying to compete with one another. Currently, we have two hospitals in town. I couldn't tell you the difference between either one of them in terms of price.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just know, we always go to this one. When somebody's hurt, we go here, and that's just it. And hospitals have kind of relied on that being the only game in town.
Well, health insurance is also relied on that being the only.
I think
game
so too. But I think the point of that is if you can get competition in the services themselves and in the products, now suddenly everyone's paying less for them. If everyone's paying less for them, that means your insurance company's paying less for them. Then you make it so that these insurance companies can't have tons and tons and tons of profits and give CEOs thousands of dollars and bonuses, golden parachutes, and all that kind of stuff. That's just kind of corrupt healthcare lobbying industry stuff. You tighten that up with legislation, and now suddenly you've got an affordable system that everybody can buy into. Now, I do agree with the Affordable Care Act from the standpoint of everybody needs to have health care. You and I are going to disagree on the penalty. I know we are. But the penalty was put in place because there had to be a repercussion for you not having health care, because you not having health care and going to the hospital charges all of us more money because somebody's got to pay for your emergency room visit.
But that was a problem even long before the Affordable Care Act.
I'm not arguing that
I don't know if you've ever been in an emergency room before. I mean, but when a couple times I've been in there were definitely people, and I'm not trying to be judgy. I guess if it sounds like that, I guess take it for what it is. But they were definitely there just to get a prescription for their pain medication or whatever, or they were just there because they had a bad headache, and believe me, I went in thinking I was having a heart attack, ended up just being an anxiety attack. So I, felt bad about it. I definitely man, I even told the lady, like the nurse, I'm like, well, I'm number one, I'm glad to hear it's not a heart attack, but number two, I feel like I
feel bad for showing up because I took your time.
She's like, no, better safe than sorry, and I was like, I can appreciate that, but I still got charged out the what for it, which is just it is very sad. It is very sad that we can't find a way.
It's the only place in the world. It's the only service anywhere that I can think of, and if you can think of a better one, you let me know. If you the listener can think of a better one, let me know, because I've never heard of one where you pay for a service or you agree to a service without knowing its cost.
No.
Construction companies give you an estimate. You have your gutters clean, they give you an estimate. It might not be the whole thing, but it's a good ballpark figure. You go to the store, the price of your milk is right there. You know how much you're paying for it.
And also you have different prices if you're insured or you're not insured.
Sure. I mean, yeah, there's different things for that. So it's weird that this only seems to be an American problem. Like, I've never hear any Canadians saying, oh, well, this healthcare thing's the worst. Like, I never hear that.
Well, we also don't live in Canada.
That's true. We don't live in Canada. I know. But, the internet being what it is and news articles and everything, I never seem to hear about anybody else saying, yeah, okay, you Americans think you got it rough with health insurance. Listen to what we got going on over here and insert country here. That's not a thing anywhere.
Do you think that this maybe is more of a first world problem, though? I mean, being in America, we do have so many more. I heard one, I don't know if it's true. Somebody made just want to be one of those fake internet quotes that you see, but something about if you woke up with with the availability to have breakfast and clothes on your back and a job to go to, you are 1% of the per population of the world, something like that. We're basically saying that
let's figure it out. So the world is 7 billion people. 1% of 7 billion. So 10% of 7 billion is 700 million.
Right.
So 1% of that would be 70 million.
70 million? I don't know how many people live in America.
There are 350 million people in America, not counting all of Europe. So it seems like a bit of a flawed stat.
But I think what their point
the point is solid. There's a lot of people in Africa that don't have breakfast every morning. There's a lot of people in third world countries that don't have. India's booming and they don't have nearly enough food to take care of the people they have. I mean,
okay, so let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Now that we're kind of talking about healthcare, let's kind of
catch up on a hot dog.
Let's go. No. Let's go into a funner, more fun topic, quote unquote. Vaccinations. All right. This is a topic that I've never talked about.
We might agree on this one, actually.
I don't know. We'll see.
Let's find out.
Okay. So the vaccinations obviously are an important role to society. I mean, they play a very important role. Full disclosure, my daughter did get vaccinations. It was not easy for me. But at the same time, I'm not a doctor. I've never been a doctor. I didn't go to a school. I didn't pay thousands of dollars to a med school. I don't have the MD at the end of my name. So I have no reason to think that I know more than a doctor. Okay. I have to I go to a doctor. Science has its purpose. God gave us all brains. So, I have to trust that the inoculations that they're giving my daughter, the vaccinations, are for her health and for the overall health of society as a whole. However, I don't believe that states should force parents.
We're going to get into it here.
Yeah, I don't believe that states should force parents to vaccinate their children. I'm not. So I think that there should be exceptions. I think that the state is not in charge of the children. The parents are in charge of the children. And I understand herd immunity. I understand why it's risky. But we do live in America. It is a free country. And we should be able to make as parents should be able to make decisions for our own families based on our own beliefs, whether or not they are stupid or not.
Okay.
Matt?
All right, we're gonna disagree. We're gonna go rounds on this one.
I'm okay with that. We got 6 minutes, so let's talk about
6 minutes for rounds. This one's gonna run over.
All right.
Vaccinations not only protect your child, they protect my child.
That's what I said. I understand herd immunity.
That's the main argument. Because if you have 99 kids out of 100 kids that are vaccinated and one kid that's not, that one kid gets infected, the disease or flu or whatever it is mutates. Now suddenly you've exposed everyone to a new strain because that one child got infected, right? That's how these things work. That's why flu season, when you get your flu shot, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because scientists kind of take a guess on how the flu is going to mutate. They don't know. There's no way to know, right? But that's what happens is they take a guess. They take an educated guess with all their PhDs and all the science and everything, and they say, okay, well, let's mutate this artificially and give it this and give it this, and then we'll kill that cell. We'll put it into a vaccine and give it to your body. So your body has a dead cell, but your body's kind of stupid and doesn't know that, right? That's how vaccines work. So your body doesn't know that the cell's dead and that it can't do any damage. Your body sees a foreign cell and goes, we got to do something about this. And your white blood cells kick in and they defeat the cell. And in doing so, they develop a playbook of things. Hey, when we see this cell again, here's the path to eliminate it. Here's what we have to do. Then when a cell comes along that has some of those similar characteristics, you are easily able to defeat that other cell.
I understand.
That's the point of a vaccination. So vaccines should be mandated unless there's a medical reason why you can't. I understand if I can't give your kid a measles, mumps, and rubella, is that what it is? MMR?
That sounds right, yeah.
I can't give you an MMR vaccine because if I do, your immune system will shut down and you'll die. I get that.
How
that's
do they
one
know?
thing.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with that.
Like for medical reasons, that's fine. But because somebody like your beliefs because of non-scientific beliefs should not endanger my child. You have the right to endanger your child as much as you want. That's your own thing.
But what if I feel that endangering my child is giving them a vaccination?
That would say that science proves you wrong.
Well, but there are. You have to admit there are reported cases of children getting vaccines.
Sure, but how many people get vaccinated all the time?
I get that, but we don't know. But I'm saying I'm taking devil's advocate. This is again not my point of view. My daughter's vaccinated, but if I believe that vaccinating my child could cause him or her harm, I should have the right to say no. I don't want him or her to get vaccinated because of the chance, albeit very small, could end up negatively affecting them for the rest of their life. I'm not saying autism, I'm not saying mercury and all that craziness, but I am saying that there are reported cases, of vaccinations harming children.
Yeah, but you wear your seatbelt in your car and nothing happens to you. But every once in a while you hear about the lady that got decapitated. Because it happens. It happens. That's life. This is life.
This is life, right?
It happens. So you're never going to be able to 100%. You're never going to be able to make a vaccine that like nobody ever has any complications with because there are 7 million people on the planet and all of our cells are a little bit different, but we're all humans, right? So you're never going to be able to get a 100% perfect anything. You can't make a perfect automobile. You can't make a perfect baseball hat. You can't make a perfect paper towel. You can't make a perfect anything. There's always imperfections everywhere, right?
Right.
So from that perspective, the best way that we protect everyone as a whole is to have as many people vaccinated as humanly possible. We can't for medical reasons. If I give you a vaccine, we know from your blood work that you're going to die. Your body's going to shut down. You're going to die. Okay, we can't do that.
Okay,
I can't give somebody with HIV a vaccine. That'd be a horrible thing.
Let me give you this caveat then. I'm cool with that. Let's say I'm in agreement that they make. Here's what I'm going to give you.
So that's why it's mandated at the state level. Right. It's like, look, these religious exemptions are silly.
Then I'm going to give. Then I want something in exchange. If you're going,
are we just doing like we're solving all those problems right here on the show?
I'm going to give you an exchange. If we're going to mandate across the board that every child has to be vaccinated unless medically unless there's
medical reason,
right, unless the doctor says this will harm the child or whatever. But across the board, every child has to be mandated. I want in exchange the right to be able to sue pharmaceutical companies if something adversely happens to my child.
Do you not have that already?
No, you cannot sue a pharmaceutical company if there's an adverse reaction to a by not into a vaccination.
Really?
True.
News to me. I didn't know. Sure.
Yeah, true story. Yeah,
I'll take that trade. I don't know anything about that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's a.
Why wouldn't you be able to okay?
Because
you see those commercials all the time. Well, if you took blank blank blank, you might have genital gangrene. Call the law offices of such and such.
Yeah, but that's different. That's like malpractice and things. But when you sign a document, you're releasing the doctor of anything.
The doctor, sure. I'm not letting you sue the doctor. You can sue the doctor. You can sue the pharmaceutical company that made the vaccine, sure. Well, you sue the doctor.
In a way, I guess you could sue the doctor. But the doctor's just doing of course, the doctor's just doing what the government.
The doctor's doing their job to protect people and Hippocratic Oath and all that. Yeah, that's their job.
I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, then hit me up on This Is Life Pod, at Twitter and also our Instagram and any kind of social media. On that note, yeah, you can find us on thisispod.com even.
This is Life Pod.
Oh, thank you.
This is Pod. That's a great name too.
This is Pod. Don't go to This Is Pod. Who knows who that? I don't even know what that is.
We don't know.
Okay, let me start over. Go to thisislifepod.com or This Is Life Pod on any of your social media. And,
you got the Gmail.
Feedback.
You got the Gmail. This is lifepod@gmail.com.
This is lifepod@gmail.com.
Send in your questions and your hate mail for me. And
right. Thanks.
Send all of it in.
Well, anyway, we're going to end on that note. I really appreciate you, Matt,
part
being
3
here
this
again.
And keep debating things.
I know. Yeah. We
might have to do a This Is Debate Pod.
This is Life's Debate.
These are Life's Debates.
Yeah.
Just do a spin-off show. It's just you and I rambling.
I love everybody. Thank you for listening. Hope you have an incredible rest of your day. Until next time, God bless you guys. Aloha and mahalo.